A third prologue, I hear you ask? Surely that's not true. And you're actually right, there's not 3 prologues. There's a prelude, a prologue, now this is like a flashback type of thing. And they've all been really good, so let's talk about the flashback. So it would appear that we meet some of the characters that are going to be more prevalent throughout this book on like a chapter to chapter basis, would be my guess anyway. We meet Cenn, who is very afraid. He's a 15-year-old boy, if I'm not mistaken, and he is taken from a regiment in an army that's about to do battle, and he's very afraid, and he's brought to a new regiment right at the front at the request of someone called Kaladin. And we later find out that Kaladin has paid for Cenn to join his squad. And I'm going to be really interested to find out why that's happened. We do get a reason. So the reason that's given by someone else on Kaladin's squad is that he just likes to do that. He likes to rescue like young men, even though he's very young himself, only 19 years old, Kaladin this is, and bring them into his squad because they have the best chance of survival, essentially. And that might be the reason, but I would guess that there may be more involved than just that, because it seems strange to make that swap and pay a lot of money just before a battle starts, and for that to be on his mind as a priority, slinging someone into his squad last minute that may disrupt the unity and harmony of those guys and how they've been operating. So I would guess that there's a lot more to Cenn, and I think he'll be a much more important character for a much more important reason potentially. But we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And we get a pretty solid battle scene. I am a huge fan of army scenes, army politics, army formations, and when it goes into a lot of detail on these big formation, army and battle scenes. And I'm sure loads of you are really similar to me. I've read a lot of books about like Julius Caesar and the Mongols just because I enjoy those scenes so much. And it's not necessarily the violence of it, it's more the tactics of it and the organization and how things are moved around. So if we continue in this vein and we get a lot more battles and politics and army movements and logistics, that is something that I really enjoy. So I'm hoping that we get more and more of it. And I think that we will, just based on the fact that it's been such a political setup so far, with the prologue before mentioning so many key figures, and there was already a lot of armies mentioned as well. So, and in this flashback, it also mentions that this is just like a skirmish between 2 Alethi houses, I believe. I might be wrong there, but it's just a skirmish in comparison to what's going on the Shattered Plains, and that is the fallout of the murder that we saw in the prologue. So I think I'm probably going to get a lot of battles over the course of this book and this series. And Kaladin seems to be the man, so much so that the wind kind of like glows around him, which would definitely allude to him being more than just a man, something more impressive, something quite magical. And my first initial thought was that this guy is just going to be a fantastic warrior, but I did pay special attention to the blurb of the book, and I'm sure you guys have read it 100 times, but I just want to read this bottom section because I've been on the lookout for these characters because I know Sanderson leaves his clues so well. So on the bottom of the blurb it says, "Now there are 4 whom we watch. The surgeon, forced to forsake healing and fight in the most brutal war of our time. The assassin, who weeps as he kills." I would guess that's Szeth. It would be weird if it wasn't Szeth, because although he didn't weep, he definitely didn't seem very happy about what he was doing and why he was doing it. So you can see that that must be him. The liar, who wears her scholar's mantle over a thief's heart. So that's obviously a woman. And the prince, whose eyes open to the ancient past as his thirst for battle wanes. I highly doubt we've met that prince character unless I've completely missed him, so I'll be looking out for him. But there are some very obvious clues pointing towards Kaladin actually being the surgeon rather than just some great warrior. And although it does say in here as well, the surgeon forced to forsake healing and fight in the most brutal war of our time. So he binds someone's leg, I think it might be Cenn's leg actually, with what's described as like incredible precision. He also makes sure that nobody on his squad dies. If someone's injured, they send them back, and that's his whole goal, is to make sure that they survive. And that all points towards a surgeon. So I feel like it's a pretty safe guess that Kaladin is our surgeon. But that opens up a lot more questions. How does a 19-year-old kid have the time to become a great surgeon, it would seem? Normally that would take a lifetime, because you need to have seen enough wounds and enough decision-making calls to be like, okay, I'm actually getting really good at this. Same as anything really, like being 19 years old, it's hard to be fantastic, like incredible at anything. A warrior, the idea that he would be a surgeon and a warrior at the same time, plus he has this glow of the wind around him. So I think that Kaladin, he must have more years than we can see. He must have something about him that allows him to have lived these two different lives, it would seem. One of a warrior, because he was very proficient. He was fantastic. He could read the battle perfectly. That's not something you learn when you're like, oh, okay, guess I'll join the army, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's a lot more, obviously, to everybody's story, because I'm only right at the start. But Kaladin, I think with Cenn, I think he will be a main character moving forwards. With him, he's going to have a huge development arc, because he doesn't really have any skills that we can see right now. So he has to have one, right? Whereas Kaladin, I think we're going to be more discovering the development arc that he's had before we meet him at this book. And thinking about it now, he must have been, what, like 14 years old when King Gavilar died. I don't know if there's any relevance there, but yes, we shall see. The Spren. So we have Fear Spren and a few other different types of Spren, and they are being glossed over in this book. They're just mentioned, sprinkled in here and there, which means they're going to be extremely important throughout, because Brandon Sanderson has a habit of doing that. The most important thing, the thing that is going to change the entirety of the story in the book, and it's vital and it's the key, is often mentioned all the time as if it's really normal, so that you don't overlook it, you know it's there, but you don't look too deeply at it. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot more explanation on these Spren, and they're going to interact in the story a lot more, but the way he's glossing over them now makes me think they're really important. Do I have any ideas on why they're important? Absolutely not, but I know that they are, so I'm going to be keeping an eye on it. Something else that popped up that didn't seem like it needed to be in there, which normally means it's going to be important, is there was like a red-haired man fighting, and I can't remember if it was Cenn or Kaladin who was really surprised and questioned why they were fighting for our side, for the Alethi side, as far as we know anyway. So again, don't really have any predictions on him, but I would guess he becomes important later on, potentially. Seems a weird thing for them to bring up without us going back and having a look at it. And then a Shardbearer appears, and there's a lot of shock and surprise at this. It's not thought that this battle was important enough for somebody of such important to be wearing the armor and also have a shard blade to be involved. And this is obviously disastrous for Cenn and Kaladin, because it's clear that that Shardbearer is on the other side, the other team. So what does this mean for them? I would guess in the next scene, we're probably going to have them either as prisoners or already absorbed into the opposing army. I don't really see how there could be anything else, unless it's just a smash and grab and they're like some of the only survivors of their army and they have to make their way back. So that could be a possibility as well. But either way, they definitely got their butt whooped, so to speak. So we're starting from a pretty low point for both of those characters, and they're going to have to build their way into the story, which I really like. I've enjoyed all the characters so far, even though I'm only on a third prologue. I'm not even into the book, but we found our surgeon, I think so. We found our assassin immediately. I just need to keep my eyes open for the thief and for the prince. If you've enjoyed this video, I have a ton similar to it on different series that you've probably read as well on my channel. Please like and subscribe, it definitely helps the channel. But more importantly, tell me in the comments, were you thinking the same kind of things as me? Did you notice the same kind of things as me when you were at this point in the book? I'm interested to know. Thank you so much.